It is time. Time for Attorney General Merrick Garland to name a special prosecutor to investigate Hunter Biden. The investigation, in addition to his taxes, should include his financial dealings, including any and all income from foreign governments. The investigation must be fair and thorough, following every lead. Fair to the American people and also fair to Hunter Biden, not a witch hunt. If the investigation needs necessarily looking into his family, including his father and business partners, so be it. This happens when you're in the public eye. There are privileges of being in the public eye, but with that comes responsibilities. A special counsel is warranted because there are reasonable suspicions, not proof, but reasonable suspicions. Right now, the Republican-led House is investigating the Biden family. Half the country is not going to believe the House investigation results. Likewise, if the Attorney General Merrick Garland and his DOJ were to do a full investigation, and right now they're not doing that, only half of the country would not believe their investigation results. So the obvious, we need a special prosecutor. And if Attorney General Garland does not appoint one, he is doing a disservice to all the American people, Republicans, Democrats, and independents. Half the country will be crying, cover up. We really don't need that. Of course, this is not our nation's first rodeo when it comes to investigations like this. Back in 1994, an independent counsel, Ken Starr, was appointed to investigate Whitewater, a real estate venture in Arkansas. That was purchased in part by former President Bill Clinton and the First Lady then, Hillary Clinton, before the president became president. A side note, Starr was an independent counsel, not a special prosecutor. So what's the difference? The difference is who picks the person. In 1994, there was an independent counsel statute that said the United States Court of Appeals, those judges, picked the investigator after being asked by the Attorney General to pick someone. President Clinton's Attorney General, Janet Reno, asked the Court of Appeals to do so. The rationale for the court making this selection was to put distance between an Attorney General and the person selected to investigate, since it was likely an investigation would be of an Attorney General's boss. The Court of Appeals appointed former Judge Ken Starr to investigate Whitewater. Starr's investigation went on and on and on, and led ultimately to uncovering the Monica Lewinsky scandal, which I'm sure you've all heard about. Starr's investigation was very controversial, tying the nation in knots. On June 30th, 1999, the independent counsel statute ended. It had a sunset provision. By then, Democratic, Republican politicians were at each other's throats. The American people were sick of all the headlines and investigations. By the way, a key figure in the Whitewater investigation was Jim McDougal. He owned the property with the Clintons. In 1996, McDougal was convicted of fraud and conspiracy in connection to the land. He was sentenced to 3 years in prison. After his conviction, and on the day of his sentencing, I happened to be with McDougal, alone in a room in the Arkansas courthouse. It was just the two of us. He knew that if he testified against the President and First Lady, he would get a lighter sentence. Starr wanted that testimony. So I asked McDougal point blank, did the Clintons do anything wrong? He said no. I said, are you sure? He said yes. I then pointed out the obvious, that if he had any evidence showing they had done anything wrong, now was the time to talk to Starr, since it would certainly mean a lighter sentence. He said he knew that fact. He would like a lighter sentence, but he told me the Clintons had done nothing wrong. I accept that. Now back to now. Attorney General Garland should appoint a special prosecutor. I hope, though, he's not deterred by a grudge he may have from a personal experience. Back in 2016, President Obama nominated Garland to the United States Supreme Court. The Republican Senate denied him a hearing, saying it was too close to the next presidential election. It was roughly 8 months before the next election. At the time, I said the Senate was wrong to deny him a hearing. I still think that. Process matters. The President has the constitutional duty to appoint a justice to a vacancy on the court, and the Senate has a constitutional obligation to advise and consent, which means essentially hold a hearing to see if the nominee is qualified and vote. The Republican Senate could have given Garland a vote and just rejected him, but he should have at least had a hearing and a vote. He got neither. Process matters. So now, I don't know if Garland is bitter towards Republicans for being denied a hearing and an opportunity to serve on the high court, but if he is, he needs to know his duty is to rise above it for the American people. Of course, it does not help that Republicans, just 1 month before the 2020 election, changed their tune and fast-tracked now Justice Amy Coney Barrett so that she would get a vote, and now, of course, she sits on the court. They fast-tracked Coney Barrett after late Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg passed away on September 26. Now, you may prefer Justice Barrett over Justice Merrick Garland, but when you poison the process by appearing to change the rules, there is a cost. It undermines confidence in the system, which brings me to now. If Attorney General Garland does not appoint a special counsel right now, it gives rise to suspicion that his decision is political payback for his treatment, and also that he is protecting his boss, President Biden, who gave him his important job. But if he does select a special counsel, I hope he does show wisdom to get someone who is not inside the Beltway here in the Washington area. We are so cozy with all our relationships. He should pick someone from Kansas, Wisconsin, any place but here. Sure, someone from inside the Beltway can be fair, but no one from outside the Beltway is ever going to believe that. And of course, I understand why. Gray Analytics Vice President, General Counsel, and former U.S. Attorney for the Northern District of Alabama, Jay Town, joins me. Okay, Jay, you just heard me talk about why I think there should be a special counsel. I do like that blazer, by the way. But tell me, special counsel or not? Do you agree with me or not?
I do agree with you, and I would have resisted agreeing with you really up until recently, Greta. And greetings from the Seersucker South, chocolate chip, National Chocolate Chip Cookie Day Friday. This is how we do it down here. Look, I think that you said undermine the system, undermine the confidence in the system, in the suspicion that continues to grow day by day. The fact that when every time there's something negative about Hunter Biden, there's another indictment or a superseding indictment of former President Trump. It's too big of an equity to have. We have to have trust and confidence in our justice system. It's one of the cornerstones of our democracy. And when we start to lose that, even if we whittle away at it just a little bit, but over time, what we've seen in the last 6-7 years is that half this country doesn't believe in this system. The other half doesn't trust cops. We have to get this back. And the only way to do that, I think, is to appoint a special counsel. And there's some other options also that I think that the Justice Department and the Congress should explore.
You know what? I was thinking it's the Attorney General of the United States that has the obligation, the way it is, to select a special prosecutor. But look, there's nothing to stop President Biden from looking around, see what's going on in this country, and see the great divide on this issue, and see all the suspicion, whether there's anything there or not. I mean, it's not unreasonable to be suspicious of phone calls, of Shokin, of Devon Archer, of all the money the son was making, and the trips on the plane to China. I mean, there's enough there to be suspicious. He could make a statement asking the Attorney General to appoint a special prosecutor so we can put an end to this.
Oh, absolutely. And I agree with you 100% that it should be somebody from outside of the Beltway. The problem with picking someone inside of the Beltway isn't that they live in the Beltway and that there's not fantastic lawyers inside of Washington, D.C. and in Maryland and Virginia. There are scores of them that I could name right now. The problem is that what's the next thing? The next thing's going to have to be in Washington or Northern Virginia or Maryland. And you don't want to, tangle with your future employers or be toxic in that town such that you're not marketable. You need someone, as you mentioned, from Wisconsin or Kansas or Alabama or Illinois, somewhere, right?
But it's so, look, I practiced law here for years, everybody knows, and I've lived here for a long time, but it's so, quote, cozy. I mean, one of the things that's mentioned in the transcript with Devon Archer is Cafe Milano, a dinner there. Well, anybody who's been in government or, or law or thing, we've all gone into Cafe Milano and stopped at tables and said, hi, how are you? I mean, it's a lot cozier, and if we really want people to have confidence in the system, it can't be people. I mean, look at the special counsel's wife made a documentary on First Lady Michelle Obama. And it doesn't necessarily mean he's unfair, but what is the message it sends across to the United States? Why pick Jack Smith when there are tens of thousands of people who don't have that appearance of? I mean, why did he do that? It's so tone deaf to me.
Well, tone deaf is the right term for sure. And I think that there's more than enough just in the Devon Archer transcript. There's probable cause for a number of offenses, at least reasonable suspicion to start investigations into a number of potentially criminal activities by Hunter Biden and others. Now, I don't know if the statute of limitations is run out on everything, but it's run out on a lot.
Well, they ran it out, but they delayed. But
They ran
the
it out.
suggestion by some, there's a suggestion by some is they delayed the investigation long enough so they get past the statute of limitations. And we haven't even discussed that sweetheart deal. I've never seen a plea agreement like that. I mean, you know, and it you know, it would be one I'd be very proud if I got that plea agreement for my client, because that's a great plea agreement.
Should be hung on the wall.
But it's not unreasonable for everyone to think that the fix was in on it. I mean, it may not be true, but unless we have a special counsel investigating that, you're leaving the thought with many people in America saying, well, they didn't give that one to me, and to be suspicious. Is that fair to the American people?
It's not fair to the American people, and really they deserve to know the machinations behind the scenes, not just of the criminal activity, the statute of limitations of which might have expired already, but they need to know why was this, and I don't know that Comer's committee is going to be able, the oversight committee is actually going to be able to do this. We need to know, why were the warrants not served? Why was it slowed down? Why didn't you investigate these other, you know, the 1023 and James Biden and the FARA violations and all this money laundering in 24 different shell companies that was being alleged? I'm not saying it happened. Why wasn't that investigated? And if it was, show us where it was investigated. Because you're pleading the guy guilty and giving him immunity to everything since the beginning of time until yesterday. And you're telling me that we can't know what you investigated and what you found? We can't have drip, drip, drip through Congress. There either needs to be an inspector general investigation, a special counsel, or maybe even a 9/11 type of commission, because this has been going on for too long. And it's too precious of a commodity, our trust and faith in the justice system, to let it slip by.
All right, I'm going to take the last one. I'm going to say I want cameras in the courtroom for all the Trump trials, but I also want it for Hunter Biden's plea stuff, whatever happens there. You know, we need to see what's going on as much as we can, since apparently our government won't help us learn these things. J-Town, thank you.
Thank you, Greta.